Thank you for tuning back in to The Awakening once again. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Reggie Whitley.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So, we're going to get this thing kicked off and started. So, we discussed in part one about the question of why. Why kids ask the question why. The different parents have, how can we break it, and the things we need to do. So this subject here goes hand in hand, and I said it previously about kicking the kids out at 18. I wanted to get out at 18. Good at because I was like, baby, I'm getting up out of here. Look, she ain't gotta say nothing to you, girl. Like, I'm ready to go. You ain't got to say nothing to me. I know the drill. And then it happens. So one of the things that we was talking about a couple of weeks ago about Shaquille ONeal. That was one of the things with his son. He was saying how his daughter can stay, but his son has to go at 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that, 18?
I think it was 18. Yeah, okay. 18.
And so, just to go back a little bit, when younger from shows and things that I have watched, I did notice that young girls was married off before they would leave the house. Like they had to be married, they couldn't just leave. And basically they can stay, until they find a husband, until their husband find them. Or they was married off. Like, back then you had a lot of stage marriages. You gonna marry sissy so-and-so when you turn this, that type of stuff. Arranged marriage.
Yeah, that's
what they call it.
Because I was sitting here thinking, what was that called? I was arranged marriage.
So, but then you got the young men, that were basically being taught at an early age how to maintain a household, be the man, do the man things. And, the wife literally was like at home cooking, cleaning, that stuff. So, but we was talking a couple of weeks ago, and you brought up the situation with Shaquille ONeal, and I looked at it, but I didn't get finished watching all of it. But I kind of understood the logic of it, but in the same sense, everybody like, I ain't Shontal ONeal, and my husband ain't Shaquille ONeal. We ain't got that type of money.
Can I just say, Shontal got her another husband. Now, we ain't trying to put you back, Shontal. We ain't trying to put you back, girl. We know you got your another husband. Don't come for us.
Yeah, I was going to change that. But yet and still, I look at it as a financial, foundation. One of the main things I have a problem with nowadays with parenting, and something that I really feel bad about for myself as a young, growing up. Like I said, I was ready to get out. So they had to put me out. I was ready to go. I was like, because it was rules and regulations that our parents set. And it was like, if you can't abide by these rules and regulations, then you got to go. So for me, I was ready to get out. I was ready to go. I was ready to go hang out with my friend. Like I couldn't do that. And I can do it to a certain time. Like my curfew, I think it was 12 o'clock. And I'm like, man, I graduated high school. I'm gonna go to college. I'm not gonna go right now. And so it was like an ultimatum. Either I was gonna go to college that fall year in August, or I had to leave. And I was like, well, I just did 12 whole years of school. Like, and another thing, parents, college ain't for everybody. Let's just put that right there. There's different traits that they can take. Trades, whether it be welding, that don't consist of staying in school 2-4 years. You know, you got to meet your kids halfway nowadays. You got to see what they like to do, and you know, especially when you know they don't like school anyway. But that's neither here nor there. So we put these demands on kids where 18 come, you got to make a decision. You got to go, bro. Like we want our house. Like my husband said all the time, these kids gonna be with us forever because you ain't gonna kick them out. You ain't gonna put them out. And he ready for them to go. 18.
How old is the oldest? I just want to know how old is the oldest? How old is the oldest?
Soraya's 18. I mean, Soraya's 10, so he like 18. Look.
How old is the youngest?
Joshua is 4.
And he read it already.
He read it already.
You got a wow, man. You got a wow.
And I'm gonna say this: coming from parenting, you know, my husband, he got a village. You know, we got a village, and so in a sense, when you start off young and having kids, like by 17, 18, I think he had his little, his older son, 18 years old, and here you is 45. You would think, okay, 18, you know, he grown and his kids now they 24, 25, and bam, Shazam. You can't get your stuff together. You have what, 7 more? It's 7 more behind, you know. So this a lot. And so from his point of view is living. You know, I think that some parents, and I have thought about it too, like, oh, when they get to college, when they get out this house, we're gonna go, travel or whatever. But I'm like, God, please, son, you're gonna be in your 50s to 60s, which is still considered young because I'm not putting it on me. I'm not putting it on me at all. And so some parents look at it as that. Like, I done got you through high school, I done did what I supposed to been did. Okay, I'm finna do what I want to do for me. And I can understand it. As a parent, I feel it because you done got them through the main phase of their life. But as a parent, let's be real. Within them 18s, what have you taught them? What have you put back for them? What what foundation have you set up for them to when they turn 18 that they will be okay? So Shaquille ONeal, you know, they got money. Their kids got money. We all know that he's financially stable. So for him to say that the son had to go, but the daughter can stay, I understood it because I'm like, okay, he have paved the way. He has set the foundation. He have did that, and you want to marry your daughter off until that, you know, until her husband findeth her. You want to make sure you don't want to rush it because I feel like with daughters, daughters tend to bring babies home. I'm gonna say that. And when I say bring babies home, a daughter can't just say, I'm finna have this child. Huh, daddy, you can have it. That it don't happen in society like that for us. So we have to be going to mama mode. So I can understand him saying, you know, stay home, do what you need to do for yourself, get yourself together until, but cutting them off at 18, like, you can't come back. Can you come back? Can you? What can you do? What can we do? And so I feel like in order to keep that level, it's a bunch of teaching that has to go forward. Teaching as far as financial responsibility and a lot of things in order to say at 18, you got to go. Or, I mean, Reggie, help me, because you know I got a lot of scenarios, but you know, for you, you're single, you're not married. How do you see it? And you don't have any kids, so how do you see it? You happy about
that
it?
thing hit me. You know, I could have it. will not realize.
How do you
Not God, because it could have been another way.
not come along? Because I don't see myself in telling my kids, even though I was ready. I wished I would have stayed put a little while longer and endured. But I wonder, will I been a little crazy if I
So that's a
Yeah.
very good segue. You know, once again, you've given so much, God. So if you guys saw me looking down, Shontal knows this. I just got to tell her this. She goes for a long time with her introduction. And it just be a lot for me to take in. I literally cannot take it all in. I tell her this all the time. So if you see me looking at it, it's because I'm writing. Like I literally a lot to because I mean, so much that she said, I'd be trying not to interrupt, but so much that she said needs to be talked about. And I'd be like, dang, girl, come up for air and let me talk because I just don't, that's too
trying
much. So let's just try to break this show down a little bit. Let's get some structure. So one of the things that stood out to me first that you were talking about is how you are ready to go home. You know, okay, so let's talk about Shaq first of all. Hi, Shaquille. I know you watched the show. So love Shaq. I mean, he's a very good guy. He seems to be, I don't even think that I've really heard bad stuff about him. He's not one of those who he gets bashed and stuff. He gives a lot. We love Shaq. I don't particularly agree with him, but the thing is, we have to. So one of the things that I realized is I look at it through the lenses of my family, but Shaq is Shaq.
Yeah.
So Shaquille O'Neal's foundation is not my parents' foundation. It was not. To be honest with you, anybody that I know, and I know some very wealthy people, but they're not like at Shaq level of wealth. And so his foundation is a whole lot different. Now, of course, we can go down the line of because we all know just because mama got it, just because daddy got it, don't mean children have access to it. And that's not just talking about money. You know, that's even resources. We don't know because there are some people who are are like the child of somebody who is very wealthy, very well known, and they don't have those same resources. They have to literally start at nothing and work up. And then you have some who use their parents' resources as they should. Um, Resources such as I want to do this. And so they say, well, I know somebody who's high up in that area. How about I connect y'all when you do an internship? You see what I'm saying? So foundations are different. Shaq, I don't know what he did for his, so I can't speak on that because on the outside, we can say the foundation was good, but we don't know if Shaq laid a good foundation for his children or not.
Right.
We know it was accessible to Shaq. We just don't know if he allocated it to his children. So I'm not gonna speak on that. But I just wanted to put it out there because at the end of the day, a lot of people be looking at these celebrities and stuff and they be like, yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right. But baby, y'all ain't the same.
Right.
Like, I mean, this man got houses, you rent. Yeah, and I'm not dogging nobody out for rent at all. But I'm just saying it's just not the same. I mean, if something happens to him, he can just go and call his accountant. You don't even know who the teller is at the bank. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it's not the same. So we have to be mindful before we agree or disagree with people because we don't, I be disagreeing with folks all the time. And I be agreeing with folks all the time. But it's just hard to say this is how I would do with my children when the same structure isn't there. Um, Now, I did find it a little odd that he would say, on one hand, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And on the other hand, I was like, why would you do that? Why would you put that out there? Because I'm big on, especially people of great influence, putting stuff out there. Because 9 times out of 10, your audience is not where you at. And so what you put out there, you got to be careful because people will start doing that same stuff. So I was a little like, why? I don't know if I agree with sons got to get out at 18. Anybody got to get out at 18, but sons got to get out at 18. Daughters can live as long as they want to. Now, I get what you're saying because it is true. We see back in the day and all that stuff, daughters stayed at home until they were married. But look at how young, because we look at partials instead of wholes. How young were they getting married? Some people were getting married 15,
It's
16, 17. They was getting married, having their children. Married high school age children on the way in a very short amount of time. And so we look at that and we say, well, they stayed at the house until they got married, but they got married when they were 16. They didn't even make it to 18. So we have to look at stuff like that. And we also have to look at the times. Back then, it was one thing. Now, back then, wives depended on their husbands to take care of them. So, really and truly, what it really was set up to be is that a man was going to take care of the woman no matter what. Either it's going to be your daddy, because you still staying at the house, and you stay at the house until you get married. So, your daddy take care of you until your husband take care of you. So, really and truly, is daddy's responsibility. Now, let me sign you off to this man who's now your husband. Now it's his responsibility. And it's his responsibility for the rest of your life. Are we doing that today? Absolutely not. So it's not a parallel there. It's not a parallel for the 30s versus now, or the 1800s versus now, because then women didn't have jobs. Women couldn't vote until what, 1919, 1920, something like that? 1929? Somewhere in that time frame. So women didn't have rights and all that stuff, but now women are voting, women are getting jobs, women are um, doing whatever they're doing. Women are doing as much, if not more, than what the men are doing. And so we cannot make that like a parallel, because now women don't need a man to take care of them. Now, do women want to be the breadwinner of the family? No. Do women want to be whatever? No. But we just can't look at it in the same lenses that women are being taken care of by men. So I just wanted to get that out of the way with the whole Shaq thing. Um, we we got to look at like the whole picture. Now, when it comes to leaving the house and stuff, I'm pretty sure she don't like me right now, and I don't even be talking about it. But we have to make sure, because for someone to, I got your nose waxed. For someone to want to leave the house, like just ready to go, it goes back to part one. What kind of parenting are you doing? Because it's not normal. Just because it's common doesn't mean that it's normal. It's not normal for for a child to want to leave. That means some kind of parenting had to be done some kind of way that wasn't favorable to the child. Um, so we have to really look at that, because that's an issue, that a child would just be ready to go. We have to get rid of like toxic parenting, because that's where that comes from. Um, a home is not just a home to mama and daddy, it should be home to the children as well. And a home shouldn't be something where I'm ready to leave. A home shouldn't be something where I hate to come back. A home shouldn't be something as far as I'm on vacation and I don't want to go back to that place. I hate it when this vacation is over. And it should be that way across the board for everybody in the household. So a home should be a home to the children as well. They should be comfortable in the home. They should love home. They should have a hard time, whether they're leaving because, they're of a certain age and now they're ready for the world and they're moving out, or whether they're leaving because they waited till they got married and now they're moving out. Whatever the case may be, it should be hard to leave home. If it's hard to leave home, there's probably a problem somewhere. Not probably, there is a problem somewhere, because it should be a difficult thing to do. Now, is that to say that there are some children who, because I want to preference it properly, because there are children who will want to leave home because they want it to be wild and loose and crazy and
I
disruptive.
wanted to do all that, but your girl was ready to get out and get some freedom.
Well, yeah. No, I'm just saying, because some people, I don't want it to seem like I put all the blame on the parents
Right.
100%. There are some children who just want to leave because they want to do what they want to do, and what they want to do ain't right.
Yeah.
Um, But when you establish, and this is why I mentioned in part one, to try to start early if it's not too late. Because when you start early, you really are putting so much goodness into that child to where it's in a way steering them away from or preventing them from going into those crowds. Is it a 100% foolproof thing? No, it's not. Some children, no matter how good, how much they got it made and all that stuff, they still gonna stray. But I just wanted to say, there is an instance when children want to leave because they want to do bad stuff. Because I don't want the parents to think that I'm just, how I be trying to do. I be trying to make it look like I'm coming for everybody instead of just one party. Um, but yeah, we have to make home hard to leave, make home happy for everybody, and all of that. I have more to say based on what you said, because I definitely want to talk about that waiting until the nest is empty. But I'm gonna let you go ahead first. I got it down because I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with it for certain reasons
I mean,
because I
hey,
mean
this is
I see why people do it. Let me say this. I see why people say it and I understand it. I just wish it didn't have to be that way.
and it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. But at the same time, you have to understand, like coming from a parent point of view, when when they get 18, they get older, and you looking at, okay, yeah, we got freedom, we got this, or whatever. Um, it all goes to, let's just be real, you know, it goes to sometimes you leave parenting to become a grandparent. You see what I'm saying? Our kids don't wait until where we at nowadays, kids having kids at 15, 16, or whatever the case may be. And so when they turn in 18, and for some, you have, before when they turn 18 or after the 18, you're now a grandparent. So the cycle is study going, as far as with children and raising kids and being that parent. But at the same time, you really need a break as well. And you really want to see, how does it feel to walk around the house with no clothes on? Like,
My God.
yeah, yeah, you're right, my God. So how does it feel to be able to not be responsible for at least a month of mom and his daddy? I mean, you still gonna have the responsibility, but it goes in a sense of saying, and it's really not all about that. Let me just bag that up. That's some of the reasons, but it's really not all about that. Sometimes you just want to see what you pour into your kids manifest in a good way. And when I say that, it's like Sarai, prime example. She's 10. So for me, I'm like, okay, 18, high school. I my I'm like 22. Uh 4 years of college. That's how I look at it. That's in my head. It's not 18, it's 22. 4 years of college or whatever she do. And I also want her to be able to get, my thing is I want them to, whatever they do, whether it's their own company, their own business, they own whatever it is. Okay, you want to go to school, you want to get a trade, you want to do this, you want to do that. Okay, I want to make it easy for you. Because I feel like some kids, they go to college, and if they're not staying on campus, they get in an apartment. So they having to have bills, they having to work, they having to do this, they have to do that. I'm gonna always push them to work and earn their own money, but at the same time, I don't want to push so hard to the point where they're not ready. Am I teaching her to be ready? Am I gonna build her to be ready? Yeah, I'm gonna pour that into her. But I also don't want her to feel like, I don't want her to I want her to be comfortable, but I want her to be comfortable in her own person, to see how I feel in a sense. So me being responsible for teaching my kids about money flow. I'm starting to do that now. Like I worked at the bank, and I took in so much that I didn't know that I was not taught growing up about finances. I didn't know about credit until I got into college. Like it's a lot of stuff I did not know. And so bills, it's like, okay, pay this bill. Oh, you can get an extension, get that extension, use that money, go have you some fun. And that's what I knew. Or you had to, it was not, make sure you pay this bill on time, make sure you do this. I wasn't taught the importance of that. So where I wasn't taught, and from what my mistakes was, that's what I'm now trying to pour in at team. Like when she get money, she got a little bank account. When she get money, at the time we was putting money back when she would get stuff. Now she's getting to that age she wants stuff. And so I tend to narrow it down to her. Like prime example, birthday money. Soraya had like $100 almost. And I told her, I said, you get, what do you want? What do you want to buy yourself? What do you want? I always teach her to pay yourself, enjoy it. Because I feel like when I was 15, 16 working, I really didn't get a chance to really enjoy my money. It's like I automatically went into adulthood. So I want to teach her that too, being able to enjoy, but also preparing her and laying out the foundation that she would need. So when she do get ready to leave, or when she do, whatever, she'll be okay. So I think that's a big thing too. You want to see them succeed in the stuff that you taught them, and not be, well, I just want to stay here just because it's comfortable, or you don't want to pay nothing. Because I want her to understand, I'm not going to be here forever. Sometimes you have those clingy kids that don't know how to adjust, you know, when their parents leave. I have seen people go into a total mental breakdown that has always stayed at home with their mama, or always been at the house with their parent, and don't know how to function without. So I'm promoting it. Like if you're ready to leave, I'm gonna make sure you're good. I'm gonna pour into you what you need, and you're gonna have that foundation. I'm not gonna push you out there, but I also want you to be able to, flow. And I also want to be able to, like I say, sometimes you just wanna. I want me and my husband to be able to go, before these grandkids. I ain't speaking of no grandkids before 30, before they turn 30 now. Even though we do have some with the oldest, but these younger kids, look, sit down. So I ain't had my first child till I was 33. I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed my 18, 20s and all that stuff like that. But to go back to it, in all seriousness, that's what I want. I want her to be able to, I'm not gonna push her out, but I want to make sure she has that foundation. And that's what a lot of parents don't give nowadays. In school, a kid, to me, going to school, college, and doing it is hard enough. But unless you out of town, and that's your choice. But if you're around me and you want to go to college or whatever, no, I'm not gonna say it's time for you to get out, because I know you ain't ready.
So,
Is that my pour too much on you, hot sauce?
yeah, I'm still right. So, yeah, I agree. So one of the things that I just thought about, okay, so off the paper, what I just thought about, like literally just now when you were talking, is we you you have to wait until you're ready. So one of the things that needs to be talked about more, we do a lot of gratified parenting. So when you go on social media, you see the perfect example. So when it's the first day of school, you see first day of school pictures going all over social media. Oh, look at my baby getting ready for oh, look at her in her uniform. So we do a lot of the gratified parenting of it. But you went through hell getting that child up for school. You had to fight them to get that head comb. You had to dish
We
out
take
all this money for the haircut. it was hard for you to get them to the beauty shop. I mean, to get them up and ready and on time and ready for the bus and up, but all that is shown is getting on the bus, smiling, waving back at mama. Bye, mama. That's all you show. So we do a lot of the gratified parenting for sure. More people need to talk about how hard it is to parent because when I hear parents talk, not being a parent, all I can say is, what did you expect? You had a child. What did you expect? Now I know I don't have children, and I know I be a little hard on people just in general, but I just cannot help but to say, what did you expect? I mean, when you have a child, did you think that your child was going to be independent by the time they? That's like a very long time. Your child is
Yeah.
in school from like what, fourth, fifth. Now they taking them at just a few months old in school. I don't know what they're doing with them, but they're doing it. Your child is in school to 17, 18 years old. What more did you? What is the complaint here, guys? I'm just not
Right.
understanding. And it's
I mean,
because we do a lot of gratified parenting. We just put out the good stuff. We don't put out the fact that every day. And so it's a part of being a parent. It's a part of being a parent. You wake up every day for all those years to wake them up. You got to wake up before them to make sure they get up and get on the bus. That is a lot of work, but what did you expect? Like, what you thought was going to happen? And so, I'm guessing that's why it says it takes a village. Because yes, you do need a break, just like you need a break from your job. Because parenting is like a job. Just like you need a break from work, just like you need a break, you need a break from. I hear people say they need a break from them from their spouse sometime, and that's definitely something like. What did you expect when you got married? You was gonna wake up to the next person for the rest of your life. What's going on, guys? Why you? So we have to be sure, which is why I hadn't had any because I know I just ain't ready. And it's called being responsible. Y'all be out here thinking like that thing, thinking whoop left and right, whoop. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and, and then y'all mess around, y'all mess around and get pregnant and stuff. But we have to be wise. Um, have to be wise because on one hand I'm thinking about back in the day they had these children 17, 18, 19, and when I think about it I'm like, okay, if you have it by the time you 18, not it, if you have a child by the time you're 18, um let's just go with the whole 18 thing. If they're 18 responsible and can do on their own, you still just like 36, so you still young. If you wait till you late, what you expect? By the time they get 18, of course you're gonna be in your late 40s. Of course you're gonna be in 50s. And so we have to really weigh that kind of stuff out. That's a lot of stuff that's not, it's a lot to look into when it comes to planning on being a parent. And I don't think a lot of people do that. A lot of people don't think about it. And this is why we have what is called the midlife crisis. People don't really have a midlife crisis. Have you ever noticed when people have what they call a midlife crisis? It's after the children are at the house, and really that's it. It's after the children are at the house. So what comes with the children being at the house? You ain't responsible for them financially. Now you got the money. The money's been freed up. Um, you got time. It's not really a crisis. It's that now it's the first time in years, 18, 20, 25 years, that you have had financial freedom separate from your child for the most part, and you've had time. So it's not a crisis, it's just a change in your life. And so I really wish there was something, and I'm sure, neither one of us is qualified to really harp on it, but I'm sure that there are many who have figured out that line as far as I still have my children, but I still live my life. I know a woman, bless her heart, she got six under six. Six under six. She got six children, and the oldest, I think, is six this year. And she just had one this year. I mean, she popping them out, her and her husband. They have a blessed life, though. And she lives like to the fullest. Like they still travel the world. They still do what they do. I mean, they have a very good time. They have a very good life. And they still take care of their children, are there for every intimate moment. But I guess that plays into it takes a village because
Right.
it's harder to do it when you're by yourself. Most of the parents who are burnt out, because you can't get burnt out from parenting, from what I've learned and what I've heard, most of the parents who are burnt out don't have a village.
Exactly.
So we have to be very wise with that. And the village is not just the grandparents. I'm so
Exactly.
tired of seeing people dump their children off on the grandparents.
And I think,
Um, that's
and,
not
and,
how it should be.
and just to back up on it, I think where we are nowadays, back in the day, the village was
The
neighborhood.
city, right?
Yeah, it was a neighborhood. And so when we came across all this uh child endangerment stuff, just a whole bunch of other stuff, it went to, grandparents or whatever. But, for me, my village, one of the people that I consider villages, the grandparents. And I have a tendency. I thought about as you were saying, and I was like, you know what, he is telling the truth because that's who I look
Thank you,
to
sir.
get. I be like, y'all grandmamas don't want to watch these children no more. And for me, I don't even like putting my kids off on nobody. Really, to be honest, I would rather my kids be around me. In a sense, do I want to break? Or when I do say village, I do say grandma or aunties, or my brothers. They're not, ain't none of them married, so they really ain't gonna too much watch no kids. They trying to get me to watch their children
My
or
God.
whatever. But when we say the village, there is no village. Like literally, even when it comes to godparents, um, that's a very touchy subject for me. Um, when it comes to godparents, because they're considered village. When I remember when Sarai was younger, she had she had godparents, and still do, and they was very present. When I say village, I had I ain't gonna say I felt like I was in the White House, bro. Like, go ahead to the west wing, to the east wing, to the north wing. You gonna be good. They gonna look after you. And now that with Joshua, it is the total opposite. Even with Soraya, she had this thing, it is just like the total opposite. We moved to a different state. So it's the distance thing. But even during the summertime, she went to summer, with my sister. But with Joshua, it's like we don't really have that. And a village is needed. And people fail to realize that. I think not only do the parents not realize, the grandparents, friends, or whatever the case may be, they don't look at it like that. It's like, you had these kids, you should be responsible for these kids. And basically, that's just it. Okay, but would you like that? Then you have a village? Then you have help?
Because the bigger the village, the better. Yeah. On one hand, at the end of the day, it does fall back on the parents. You the one laid down, you dip the wide and spread it low. You know what I'm saying? And so, it on one hand, but at the same time, it does take a village. And the bigger the village, and a lot of people don't realize it, because if you have just a small village, this is why because first of all, is it fair? Let's look at okay, well, let's take it back to work. You worked all them years on your job, and then you retired. Did you retire to go back to work? So that's how grandparents look at grandparenting, rightfully so. I get it. I can understand it. And retire from nothing, so I can't say I but I get it makes sense. But at the same time, you can't do nothing. But that's when it goes back to the bigger the village, the better, because that way you ain't gotta burn grandmama out. Grandmama can't do nothing because she gotta watch the kids. Now she looked at us being a bad grandmama because she's saying no because she wanna live her life. I raised mine. These the ones I laid down and had. I raised mine. Now you gonna dump yours off on me too? That's not right. Because I retired. What does that mean? My kids out on their own now. I didn't retire to keep working, keep watching your
But see,
kids.
double standard though, Reggie.
But
It,
I'm getting to another point because I ain't giving grandmama ain't saying she. That's why I'm saying the bigger the village, the better, because if you have a bigger village, let's say you got maternal grandparents, paternal grandparents, uncle, auntie, now you don't have to dump all off on one. You can
Right.
spread out because now grandmama ain't got to get burnt out. Auntie ain't got to be dodging your calls because now you calling her every weekend. Now you can call one weekend. You can plan some over here another weekend. And so that's why, because a village is not one person. When have you gone to a village and just seen two houses? A village is like you say, a neighborhood. And a
Yeah.
neighborhood has several options. And so this is why we have to, of course, be wise still, because a lot of parents are so desperate to get rid of theirs. They ain't doing no searches. They ain't doing no checks. You ain't no telling who you sending your children over with.
Yeah.
But this is why you have to grow a bigger community as far as helping each other.
Yeah.
Even if it's just within the um, classroom. I'm trying to think of another way to put it, but just within your child's classroom, of course, do your searches, go over to them folks' house and look. But even if it's just, okay, you can watch my kids Monday, Tuesday, I'll get the kids Wednesday. So that
Yeah.
means mine at my house, and then yours come over. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. So we have to find ways to do it like that, because that'll keep us from burning out. Because once you burn out somebody, now they don't want to have nothing to do with you and your child either. And your
Yeah.
child is really the one who's suffering, because all of a sudden, well, why I can't go over auntie house no more?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, auntie ain't answering the phone. No, you burn auntie out. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm saying, if you have the more people, the better, because you don't have to burn out grandmama. Now grandmama don't mind coming to get the kids. Now some of them just pathetic. Some of them just ain't gonna, I ain't got nothing to say about them.
Let
Some
me
of them
tell you,
ain't gonna do nothing, ain't
come
never got started.
your children for nothing. Like, what you got to do, you got to do. And I think this is a big situation for me, because I experienced it this summer. Um, and it's making me want to cry. What's wrong with me, Reggie?
Girl, don't do it on here, because I'm just gonna sit here and look at you.
Subject. When you say village and raising a child and stuff like that, because some people, I never been a one, and I always said I want to be like that. And even with Soraya, I feel like I had that village or whatever the case may be. But for me and my husband, we don't have the village like that. Everybody works, everybody got a life, and stuff like that. And for me, this summer, I actually mentally reached a peak that I have not confessed to nobody. The pressure was there. Um, Joshua is very clingy. The pressure was there. It was like there. Like literally sit in the closet, like, oh God, this I need a break. I just need, even, can somebody just get them for overnight, or can they just spend the night? And my kids ain't gonna go to everybody anyway. Now Tamara, baby, whoever, she ready to go at all times. And so Joshua, not so much. He ain't gonna really just go over people nobody's house like talking about. But I reached a point this summer where I was like, my God, is this serious? Like 24/7. How can these people stay? How did these parents do it back in the day? They just stay at home and watch kids 24/7. They didn't have a break. They didn't have a peace. Like, I couldn't even work on my own stuff, because if, prime example, school started today. I'm able to do something I love to do. And this is
My
podcast.
God.
So it's like basically a reroute. Now it's like, okay, I got a vision, I got a break. I can do something I like and do something. But some people, I pray for these villages. It's not that I don't trust a lot of people. I just pray for parents nowadays that come to a breaking point. You they sit up and say, how can she or how can he do this to a child? Or how can he? Some people cry out for attention and need that break and just can't get it. The villages is not villages no more. So
So I have a
when they
question.
Mhm.
So would a daycare be considered a village? Because what you just said, it makes perfect sense. And so my mind went to what I always say, and I think I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, or maybe part one. Um, I think it was this podcast today. This isn't that, basically. That was then, that's how the things were then. This is a new day.
right.
And so you made a very good point because you said everybody's working, everybody's this, everybody's that, everybody's busy. Um, Whereas we did have a time when that wasn't so, because now we have um, older people working more, whereas older people weren't working at one point. So grandparents may be working, or grandparents may just be physically unable. So it made me think, because I'm a solutionist. So I'm thinking, that's true. Because as you're talking, what I'm seeing is the village as what it should be. But the more you talk, I say, oh, the houses are starting to disappear because now this house is empty because they're at work. This house is empty because they're at work. This house is empty because they're living a life out of town, more prerogative to them. So I was like, what is the village? Is daycare a village? Because that's what I went to. Because that's the same
And,
thing. I'm trying to
and,
figure out,
and
do
even
people use that option?
back though the daycare times has changed so much financially and the mental state of getting daycare. Daycare running you your mortgage nowadays or more. And if you are getting assistance for daycare, it's either the single mothers or they want you to put the dad on child support. I mean, he working, I work. I mean, what more do you want? It's like a give and take situation. Because I thought about that. I was like, let me put this boy in daycare. Let me put these
So
kids in daycare.
what you're saying is what we need, because conversations need to be had where we don't just ramble and complain and gripe and murmur. It needs to be, what is this problem? So what you're saying is, when it boils down, instead of us complaining about grandma who won't get, instead of us complaining about brother and sister or uncle and auntie, all of this sounds like to me this can quickly turn into a political conversation.
Bro,
Because
yeah.
why is it that it's set up to where you got to go through all these stipulations just for childcare? It's childcare. I mean, because think about it. If the government can pay, and we're going to wrap it up, I ain't
We
trying to open up another can of
just
worms and stay
hold on,
forever.
forgive us for one, because we have went from kicking them out at 18,
You
why they
know,
should stay,
you know.
why
Well, we finna get to
they
that.
look, giving them the level of what they need to stay gone or to come back home and why to the village now.
Well, I gotta wait
Not
for us to end it well, so we don't be too far off track. We're gonna end it well.
yeah,
Because I got a question about that going back to the start. But yeah, I mean, when we boil that down, it's like a pot of water. When you have a pot of water with some in it, and all that water boil out, what's left in it? That's what we're going to talk about now. So the thing is, if the government can pay for education, K through 12, Head Start, early Head Start, all that stuff throughout the year, why isn't it that? Why don't they think that something is needed for the summer? Why is it? I mean, there should be something, and we may be singing to the choir here, but what did my boy Tupac? Y'all know I love me some Tupac. He said something about I might not change the word, but maybe I could spark the mind that will. Maybe one of y'all who's watching and listening can help out with this. Because why isn't it that there's some kind of like voucher, maybe like a summer voucher for daycare? Why aren't there more government funded summer programs, especially in neighborhoods and cities that are less developed or more rural or more impoverished? what is it? The term I'm looking for, higher risk. And so why isn't it something for that? Because at the end of the day, if mom and dad is still working, I mean, come on now. What do you think? Because when a child comes out of school, they have 2 whole months plus some, because they don't go back the first day of August. They don't get out the last day of May. They got 2 whole months plus some, where you went from feeding them 1 meal a day, that's dinner, to two. Um, oh, they have summer feeder programs. They don't have them as much as they used to. Number one, and
And look,
number two, you still got to find a way to get them there.
and not only that, to piggyback on the vocational Bible school at churches, that's something my mama had. You
And
know,
we don't see that no
we
more
we went
nearly as
there,
much.
and it didn't last no week. It lasted probably up to 2 weeks,
Right.
give or take, because give or take 2 weeks. And I think that certain states now, I'm gonna commend certain states because they do school year round, where they get 3 to 4 weeks break
Because
in between.
year-round school is
Yeah,
actually something that need to be looked more into.
yeah, because they give them 3 to 4 weeks. Do kids need a break? Yes, they do.
Yes,
Do
absolutely.
Yes, they do. Everybody need a break. Even during the summertime, one of the things that I kept doing was teaching my kids, making them do schoolwork, making them do homework, because they need something to do too. So,
Right.
and they also have fun. Go outside, play, get in the pool, do this. Social skills. But bro, that
Because really and
everything
truly,
now.
when you talk about it like that, school is a village. Is
Yeah,
school not? School is a village, and you take away the village all summer long. Like the whole summer, you went from, and I know I get it, and I did just say it, and I don't want to look like a hypocrite. Of course, you got to look at the whole picture before you have children, and this is a part of it that's included, but it's something that should be different. It's something that should be different because the village is taken away, and you go from feeding dinner to lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got to do snacks in the middle because when kids are home and they bored, they want to snack. They don't snack at school, but they want to snack at home. You got to find activities for them. You got to make sure they have stuff to keep them entertained, keep them at the streets, but keep them busy, keep them
we
safe,
got
keep
inflation,
them educated.
yes,
Um,
going
and
up.
then, like you just said, inflation is here, so the price of food is higher, gas is higher, so you might not be able to drive them to the summer program for dinner and I mean for breakfast and lunch. Parents are working, so what they gonna do with the children? There ain't enough for the children. There needs to be more. I used to have a program, summer program, Rockets, reaching out connected kids, educating them for success, and we did that every summer over the full 2 months, all June and all of July. We kept them kids the whole 2 months, and it wasn't free, but it was affordable. But stuff like that isn't around as much, at least in our area. And people need to do that. And the government, I think, needs to be more supportive of those types of programs because they keep the children. You know where your kids at. You know what they're doing. You know they're safe. They're getting fed. Our program, the government did provide the food because we were on a separate program for the feeding, and we just worked it out magically like that, magically and legally, huh? That way. And so, but we don't have as much of that, and that's not as much of a support. So there's something that needs to be said about when we select these or vote for these elected officials. We need to put pressure on them because they're not just the elected officials over the adults. You bringing in jobs, that's good. You bringing in grants for new businesses, that's good. You allowing new businesses to come in, that's good. What are you doing for the children? Have you noticed most people who run for office, whether it's president, city councilman, um, county supervisor, mayor, senator, governor, most of them don't bring up children. And a lot of them, when they bring up children, they stick to education
Yeah,
because that's the safe route. That's the safe where they can stick to. They don't look at the whole child. We have to get deeper and put more emphasis. And where's the root of that? Go back and watch part one. The root of that is because we don't look at children as humans.
yeah.
They're just there. We're not concerned about children. Why aren't politicians concerned about children? Mostly, not all, not 100%, but mostly because children can't vote.
Yeah.
They're just looking at voters. They're not looking at us as humans, they're looking at us as voters. And so, as voters, we have to put more pressure on these elected officials. Hey, you need to be funding some programs that's going to help us feed these kids. It's going to help us get them to summer programs. It's going to help summer programs live and thrive. And we need to be doing that. Now, let me ask you a question because I know it's time to wrap up. So, what, in your opinion, are some leading steps? Because one of the things that people do, it goes back to part one, wash your dishes, but you didn't teach them how to wash them, or clean the house, but you didn't teach them how to clean. You just expected them to know how to clean. In your opinion, what are some of the steps that are needed to the steps leading up to a child leaving the house? Because it shouldn't be a thing whereas when you get a certain age, you need to get out, but you didn't
No,
prepare. They're not
no.
birds. Children are not birds. You can't just push them at the nest and expect them to fly.
I think that one of the things that you will have to this is perfect. My steps as a parent for my kids is one, I want to teach them about being more. I teach them about being humble, grateful, responsibilities. I teach them as far as, money, finances, bills, credit, uh, being able to emotionally say, I need help, or emotionally go to places or look for avenues, because sometimes you can have it, but if you don't know how to manage it, then it's just like you ain't got it no way. And so that's one of my things that I'm also teaching. Manage. Not only manage money, because it's not all about money. Manage your time, manage your peace, manage what you want to do, prioritize, organize, because these are my downfalls. These were my downfalls. Some of them I overcame, some of them I'm still overcome as a parent to this day. And I don't want to see my children make the same mistakes. I want them to grow. I tell them all the time, if you speak it and believe it and you find it in yourself, you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. You can succeed. But first you got to believe you can do it. And so I think if you just set that foundation and literally I one of my things that I said I was gonna do was build a house, like the gingerbread house. Get the little stick, build a house, and on each part of the house, I was gonna put different things on there that I want them to accomplish and go over it with them so they'll know. You need these things in order to be successful, not only just financially, mentally, physically, all it. And I think you need the kids nowadays. They don't know that we got so many unstable emotional creatures walking around here. There's parents. They don't know how to. The kids can't deal. They never had to deal with nothing. They don't know how to deal. My emotions be all over the place sometimes, and that's because I wouldn't know how to deal with my emotions. So it's like I'm trying to learn so I can teach them, the things to do and what I could do. But that's basically it. I'm
And
basically the main thing is to show them and teach them that lay their foundation out so they'll know. Because we can't keep raising these kids up like they where they at now. Cause baby, you ain't they ain't finna be pushing me when I'm 80 or 90 years old. Talking about get your no. I got a stick. I'm gonna have a stick just to not that I'm gonna need a stick, but I'm gonna have it just to swing. Cause no, we ain't finna go there. Like no, we y'all gonna be something. Yeah, we're gonna go. And then I'm gonna piggyback off one thing because in the Bible it does say that a child and a family, a widow, if a person is a widow, a mother's a widow, take care of them or whatever, your family. And so I mean I'm gonna lay it out to them. I'm gonna lay it out. I'm not gonna kick them out, but I'm gonna lay it out. Even though my husband maybe he probably in the back hearing me now saying, "Oh no, they getting out." No, I don't want them to make the same mistakes that we was trying to grow before time when we weren't ready. Cause these kids ain't just jacked up around here.
Well, you heard it here, guys. She laid the foundation for you. Y'all need to do better. Work on it.
Let's
Work on
do.
doing better.
So
The
thank
better you
y'all.
do, the better the world will be in the future.
Yes, yes, we got to do better. So with Reggie, that being said and done, we gonna wrap it up. You got any golden
Shut it
notes
tight.
around there? Cause golden nugget.
I ain't got none.
You ain't got none.
Do I do it on you?
All right. So thank you for tuning in to the Awakening. Till next time. See you later.
Bye.